So welcome everybody to this Q&A for the Skyman film that is out in some theaters now, drive-ins and theaters.
Hello everyone, I'm Joe Restaino, live right here in Tampa Bay area, producer of Skyman, the movie that we're going to be talking about today. Just came out on all platforms. What was it? Tuesday, the 7th.
The 7th.
Yeah, the 7th. But it's still playing locally at the Seminole Studio Movie Grill right now.
Yeah.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, Josh?
Yeah, I'm Josh Noftz. I am associate producer on the film, and also live in Tampa Bay, and I'm excited for everyone to see this movie. So it was a blast to work on.
And it looks like Dan Myrick, the director, is joining in right now as well. So as soon as Dan is live there, we'll have Dan introduce himself.
This is how the shoot went as well. Dan usually showed up a few minutes late every day, but
I was eating the whole time.
Yeah.
But everybody was ready by the time the director showed up, and then he's like,
I'm
well,
here.
now we can get to work.
That's right.
Hey Dan, how are you?
Hey Dan.
Where are you, Josh?
I'm hanging out with Skyman
Interesting.
at Walmart.
Nice.
Well,
Tony,
thanks.
Joe, how are you guys doing?
We're good. We're good. We just did a quick intro, and so Dan, now it's your turn to kind of introduce yourself and the film.
I'm Dan Myrick, writer and director of Skyman, which just came out on VOD on the 7th. And also to select drive-ins throughout the country. We're very excited about that, and very happy to be here.
Yeah, and so I guess kind of let's just hop in and talk about that a little bit. Obviously, things being the way they are, it's an odd time to release a film, but the drive-in is making a comeback, 1950s style here. So can you talk a little bit about what went into kind of getting this film out there, sort of in drive-ins and stuff now?
Well, I know from an early...
Dan, I think you got to hit start video. Sorry.
Is my video not going? Hold on a second. Look at
You're hiding
me.
from
There's
us.
Dan. All right.
From early on, I know we shot the movie out in the desert, under the stars, and I fantasized early on about having at least one screening, in sort of a outside environment. One of our earliest plans for the release of the film were to go to UFO festivals throughout the country and have screenings there, and we booked a few places and kind of culminated at the very end, come full circle and screen the movie out in Barstow, as an outside event. So that was kind of in our heads early on, and then of course when the pandemic came through and sort of changed all that up, with the resurgence of the drive-in coming back, I think that played very well into what our original idea was. So it was sort of a blessing in disguise for us to be able to screen our UFO movie outside under the stars in some of these venues. So it ended up working out really well for us.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Any idea how many drive-ins it played around the country?
We about 10 so far.
Okay.
We started it around, it was just originally going to be, we always wanted to release the film around this time of year, even before the pandemic started. World UFO Day is July 2nd, so we were using that day as kind of like a launch and off pad. So we've done a lot of press surrounding that. And then what happened was we called some initially, and they were super excited about it. We started calling like right before other films, like there's a movie out now still in drive-ins called Wretched that did over like $1 million in drive-ins that IFC put out. We were calling like right after them. So a lot of the drive-ins at first were just going to do one day, and then they would call us like, they're all great to work with, but they weren't, I would say, ready for this whole big, everybody wants to have their movie in a drive-in. So they had some spots to fill, and then some wanted to play longer. So we actually started, I think, our first one around the 24th out in, I want to say, I think Arizona was the first, and then it just increased everywhere from there. We still have a couple going, and we said, Dan and I talked, we're like, we'll probably do it throughout the summer as well.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of fun. I haven't been to a local drive-in screening yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing something at the drive-in. You know, it was something I remember as a kid, seeing Star Wars actually at the drive-in as a kid, and so you know, it's kind of cool that it's made a comeback, and so it's out on VOD as well. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I saw it at the Ocala Drive-In, which apparently is the largest screen in Florida, and it really it lives up to the name when you're there. So if it's still there, I'm not sure if it is. If anybody has a chance to go up, check it out in Ocala, it's awesome. And the sound quality was great as well. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's still playing so locally in the Tampa Bay area here over at the Studio Movie Grill in Seminole, right, Joe?
Yeah, I actually went with some people on Friday to it, and I haven't been to that theater. It's beautiful. I mean, it's very clean, very nice. And it plays well on the big screen. Yeah, it's really cool that they were, and I think they held it over through next week as well. I just got an email on it, so I think it's doing decent. You know, it's I guess taboo to go to the theater a little bit right now, but they are doing a good job there, and you know, they're playing some classic films as well. So we'll see where it goes. But I think they also talked about putting the movie in theaters. They're in several states as well, Studio Movie.
Yeah. So they've got a bunch of theaters in Texas and some other areas, and I actually just went to that theater last weekend as well because I went and saw Raiders of the Lost Ark on the big screen because why not?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So Dan, can you talk a little bit about the film itself? What you know, what was the idea for this film? How did this kind of all come about for you?
I mean, it was an idea loosely in my head for many years. It was, you know, I was a product of like growing up in the late 70s and 80s and kind of UFO, Bigfoot, you know, culture. And that was sort of, you know, back in my neighborhood, you know, in Sarasota, we had a little UFO club when I was a preteen, and I was always fascinated by the subject matter. And so, you know, I did a lot of research, you know, with UFO books and whatnot, into Betty and Barney Hill, and you know, Area 51, of course, and Roswell and whatnot. And I always wanted to do sort of a story that sort of centered around from the kind of experiencer's perspective. And I know when Close Encounters came out, it had a real epiphany for me because it really was being told from someone that was affected. And so, you know, years go by, Blair Witch goes by, several other movies go by, and it was just a time in my life that I wanted to kind of get back to my roots, just simple filmmaking with a group of cool people and kind of control your own process. And Skyman sort of fit the bill for me. And I had gone out to the desert at Black Rock, just north of Joshua Tree, and wrote the script out in the desert in my RV for a few weeks, and was just very inspired to do that. It was a perfect backdrop and perfect setting. And then hooked up with Joe he invited me to a festival in Florida and pitched him the idea after we met again in Sundance, and he got involved, and we just said, let's make this little movie. And we went out in the desert and shot it, and sort of, it's been a labor of love ever since. So I'm really, really proud of it, and very excited to be able to do it the way we wanted to do it.
Yeah. So this obviously wasn't obviously it's not a big studio production, and not even what you'd call a big indie production. It was a fairly almost guerrilla style kind of thing. You talk a little bit about sort of the differences in that type of filmmaking, because you've been all over the board with your career on the types of projects you make. And what is it about making something like this where you kind of just go out there with a group of friends and you just kind of have some fun and shoot that you think, you know, made this so successul?
Well, it allows you to take more risks, you know, and I know, like, having lived in LA for almost 20 years, and, you know, I'm not surprised when I get invited by a friend to a little black box theater in Hollywood and I see Jeff Goldblum doing a one-man show or something, because, you know, you just get to kind of exercise that creative muscle that the studio or a bunch of executives at Warner Brothers won't let you do. And it's just very rewarding. You know, it may not be a ton of money or a big fees or anything like that, but if Blair Witch proved anything, it's you can go out there on a modest budget and without any big name actors and do something really simply in its concept, and it can still be a commercial success. So I was fortunate, you know, with Joe and Josh and guys like that. They embraced that approach. They didn't come in with any preconceptions or attitudes about how needing all these trailers. And we went out there as a documentary crew effectively, because that was the design of the movie. And we could keep our footprint small and have a lot of freedom, which was really crucial.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Can you talk a little bit, whether it's Joe or Dan or Josh, about then how the distribution of the film comes around? Because, you know, as we all know, in the independent film world, it's, you know, who's your actor and who's attached, and, you know, there's a whole process of, you know, independent film production that leads to what the distribution is going to end up looking like. And obviously your model is a little bit different here, but you do have the wide VOD release on all platforms and everything. So talk a little bit about the distribution of the film as well.
I'll start it, I guess. We partnered with iHorror, who's a local company, and they built a really nice marketing plan from the beginning. That we had a audience of over 100,000 followers just on our Skyman Facebook page. We knew this was going to be, you know, a different type of release, and we wanted that. We wanted to have more control. You know, we talked to, you know, a lot of the films I've done recently are with WME, and they go to like these different distribution channels where maybe you're not as involved in the release. This one was nice because we wanted to be involved. Like, we really wanted to, like, you know, Dan had a vision. We wanted to see that through. So it's been like, I guess early on a lot, because Dan's history and Blair Witch and everything, a lot of the early distributors were like thinking it's going to be this blood and guts horror movie, you know, and it's more of it's a sci-fi, it's a documentary, it's a case study of a man, and you're going through his journey of something that affected him as a little boy. And it's like, you know, some of the people early on in the reviews, they were like, oh, the movie's amazing in the end, you know, and they were expecting some big blood and gut thing, you know. But then the reviews started getting real when, like, Jeanette from the New York Times, who gave it an amazing review, she got it. And then a lot of other people since then, like, they're getting it, and the reviews have been coming in great. So I think for this film, we partnered with like the biggest video on demand distributor, Gravitas. They've been wonderful. They got it, you know, placed very well on all the platforms, iTunes, Amazon, because they believe in the film. And then with what we're doing, just marketing and Dan's history and you know, how well the film is executed, it's taken off. So I think for this kind of movie, we couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. It's great because I've seen lately on Amazon, you go to Amazon Prime, some of the suggestions that keep popping up for me. There's a couple of these lower budget sort of throwback to the 70s UFO sci-fi movies. Like, one's called Cosmos, another's kind of something similar to that. And then it sounds like Skyman, you know, kind of fits that bill as well. What do you think it is that we're having this sort of little mini resurgence of that, the 70s UFO phenomenon that everybody, you know, obsessed of back then, and it's kind of coming around again?
We're all getting older, Tony.
I think we want to escape Earth at this point.
Look at you, Josh. You are.
Yeah.
It's all true. Yeah.
No, there's definitely a lot of, I think social media has a lot to do with it. You know, there's a lot of connectivity. You know, the declassification of like Project Blue Book and the recent kind of phenomena with the so-called Tic Tac UFO video at the United States Air Force have released. I mean, that is all fertile ground for conspiracy theorists and this entire subculture, which is what I've always been fascinated with, kind of the people that populate this kind of sector of our society. And it's in a full resurgence right now, as you said. I mean, we shot some of our scenes for the movie at the UFO Festival in Oregon, at McMinnville, as well as Roswell. And the crowds are very enthusiastic, you know, both on the side of just festival goers having fun and, you know, like you would expect at any fair. And then the panels where people are very serious and very much into, you know, finding answers and whatnot. So it is a huge industry. It's a big audience there for a film like this. And I think we just wanted to kind of speak to them on their terms with a character that they could identify with. rather than being something that was a typical kind of analysis that we've seen a million times on History Channel, what have you. So we're hoping to tap into that, and this whole resurgence was just purely coincidental.
Yeah, that's really cool. So do you feel like if this film performs like you're kind of hoping it does, or like it appears to be right now? I haven't seen the film yet, but I am planning on going to Studio Movie Grill in Seminole this weekend, paying my $5 or whatever they're charging over there to see it.
Don't forget popcorn and Coke.
Absolutely, and you can get a full meal. They actually have like proper like food and a waiter that comes to your table and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, anybody gets a chance, meet me there this weekend. I'll see you at Skyman. But what do you think about the possibilities? Again, I haven't seen the film, so I don't know how it ends. Have you set it up for doing something else? If people are responding well to this and, heading back out to the desert with friends and kind of doing a follow-up or a sequel or a prequel or something?
Well, we've certainly talked about that possibility. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but there is the potential of the main character making an appearance later on in life. So, that'd be a lot of fun. I mean, obviously the cat's out of the bag. I mean, for those handful of people that may otherwise think this film is a real documentary or not, but it would be fun to go back out in the desert and shoot a follow-up to this film and get the band back together, if you will, and do a sequel. I think that would be a blast. And invade Ray's house again. That'd be fun, my buddy Ray.
Yeah, it's fun if you have kids too, because it's actually fairly kid friendly. There's not a lot of cuss words or other things that you wouldn't want your kids to see. So I actually told my kids it was a documentary, so that was fun to kind of watch them their eyes bug out when things happen. So yeah. So if you have kids and you haven't seen it yet, tell them it's a doc.
You can trick your kids.
Yes, there you go. As all good parents should do, is trick their kids into believing that aliens exist.
Yes.
Well, and so for our audience that's watching here too, we do have the chat function there. So if anybody has questions that they'd like to ask, just type them into the chat there, and then we'll ask the producers and Dan, the director here, any of your questions. So please feel free, anybody, to kind of chime in with some other questions that you've got here. I
was going to say, like, we talked about the marketing of the film. We partnered with Den of Geek, which is like a huge online genre magazine, I guess you would say. They have like 10 million unique followers a month. They did a film right before ours called Amazon did a movie called Vast of Night. That's on Amazon Prime now. That's done really well. And it's a sci-fi, film, like you said, set in I think it's the 50s or 60s. And I watched it. It's really done well. And so we piggybacked. They did a lot of Amazon, did a lot of marketing for that film on Den of Geek. So we piggybacked all off that because we came out right after it. So they've been a great partner as well, just to get the word out. And,
they've been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. They did.
Well,
I mean, our composers on this were Don Miggs, who's from, lives in Tampa, Greg Hansen and Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. So they did a story on the music and in the film, which also we have a soundtrack with Skyman. So this little movie has its own Skyman, original soundtrack right now available on iTunes and with Billy
I'll
Corgan.
be doing my own music video too, because I'm going to have like a special features on the DVD. No, I'm kidding.
Well, so it's interesting to talk about that. So maybe that's a little bit of a case study for independent filmmakers. You've got the small little film, and you partner with Den of Geek and iHorror, who are two kind of web-based platforms that have a lot of followers in the horror and the sci-fi genre and stuff like that. And you didn't need a huge marketing budget, and you didn't need to, spend all kinds of money advertising on TV or anything like that. This is like a digital kind of marketing release that you've done to a very specific audience that would, really dial into this film.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head, Tony, with regards to one of the first things I sort of preach to people when you're making your movie, regardless of what your film is understand your audience. What's your core audience? And So, if you have an understanding of who your movie is best suited for, then you can be more targeted with your marketing approach. And, places like Den of Geek, and even, to a lesser degree, I think iHorror, because they're more focused on horror, but I have a horror background. These are areas that have lots of eyeballs, and they're really wanting content. They want to get in the content game, and they're looking to feed their channels with cool stuff. And it's an inexpensive way to get a lot of awareness to an audience that you're targeting through platforms that already have established numbers, and so it's a win-win situation where they're getting content to populate their sites, and you're getting tremendous awareness, and it's never been a better time to do that than now, and that's one of the upsides with what's been going on. I think is a lot of these online platforms are looking for good quality content.
Yeah, and so I guess kind of segueing, talking about that online platforms and quality content, so Dan, you've been filming locally in the Tampa Bay area here, a new web series, Black Veil. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and about what you've been doing with that?
Yeah, that's just basically a horror anthology. We want to do like a creepy kind of Southern Gothic, short form series that can play on multiple platforms. And we've also got ideas about shooting a cool like ghost, story film in Ybor City. I'm penciling out an idea now called Run Like Hell that takes place in the Everglades. That is just a straight up action horror film. So yeah, I mean, I love shooting in Florida. It was my home for 35 years, and I've got lots of family that live there, and my extended family with Joe and these guys. Love working with these guys, and just the attitude and the enthusiasm, the embraces filmmaking there. I just like that vibe, and so yeah, I hope to be shooting lots of stuff in the area in the future. Once, of course, the pandemic stuff kind of runs its course, but yeah, I'm anxious to get back to rolling cameras again. Yeah, no, we're excited to get you back to Florida shooting some stuff. So I'm going to throw it out there again to any of our participants. Any questions, anyone, for Dan or Joe or Josh about the film here? If not, I'm going to let you guys maybe say a few words before we wrap it up. No questions. Josh? What happened to your space?
What was it like? Yeah,
you back
down to earth. Yeah, I was scouting for the sequel.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, what was it like working with Dan Myrick, Josh? Nah. That's a good question. No, it was. I'll just say a few words, I guess, while we're here. It was exciting, and it was nerve-wracking at first when Joe called and asked if I wanted to be on board. But I met with Dan early on, and we just chatted about his feeling, his tone he was going for, and it was just a really relaxed conversation. And so that first meeting just really put me at ease at how everything was going to go. And I'll just say, as a filmmaker myself, I learned a lot about trusting your instincts, because that's really what Dan kind of works off of, and he's done this a lot, obviously. So just kind of run and gun, and like he said, it was an awesome experience. A lot of really passionate people out there, a lot from Florida. We shot some in Tampa, some scenes, and then we shot most of it over in California. But a lot of Florida filmmakers out there, and a lot of our friends and people who we all work with here locally. So really, really excited for the future, and hopefully we can keep doing this. Great. Well, we have a couple of questions. We do have a couple of questions popping in here. So one question is from Emnazario. Glad to see projects being shot in Florida. Were there any producing challenges in Tampa Bay? So you probably didn't shoot too much here, but if for the little bit that you did shoot here, any challenges to shooting in the area?
I mean, for this project, no, it was good. We only shot a couple days in the area, I think it was, and we cast a few actors from here, and we worked at a TV station locally, and it was great. I mean, everything was easy. It was nice on this one to be able to do some here, but then also bring crew that you're friends with locally, and some, like, iHorror guys hadn't really produced a movie, so they wanted to learn and how to produce. And so it was nice to be able to, like, on a project like this, working with someone as experienced, like with like Dan, to, like, it was nice to be able to bring them out to California and really, I guess, like, teach some as well, to see the process and see how it works. And all of us, like, now we come back here and we've, we worked on a fun project together, and then, we're all going to be doing more things as well. So it's, a lot of times you see like people here just doing projects locally, they don't go other places. And that was neat about this one. We could do it in both places. So then we didn't have no issues on this one.
Good. Well, we have a question. We do have a question from Nikki, who is our state of Florida film commissioner. So thanks for joining us, Nikki. She says, thanks to Dan for sharing his upcoming projects. And are Josh and Joe working on anything exciting for Florida?
You want to go first, Joe? Or?
Hey, you go first. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I've been one thing that we've been working on is actually, I don't like the term, but it's true. It's a fan film, a Marvel character, a kind of unknown Marvel character from the early 90s. That's this really cool, interesting character called Sleepwalker, who's, from another dimension, alien. I won't get into it, but we've been working on it for a few years. It's all self-funded. We've shot a lot of it in St. Pete. We've worked with you, Tony, on some of the aspects of it. But it's all been shot here locally, Tampa, Florida. And it takes place in Brooklyn. So we were looking for spots and trying to find areas to make Tampa and St. Pete look like Brooklyn, which I think we were pretty successful. We just had to hide some palm trees and things like that. But it was supposed to actually premiere at the Gasparilla Film Festival this year in March. But as we all know, that got postponed. So it's still out there. We're actually now looking at maybe premiering it at a drive-in, maybe the Ocala drive-in. Those guys were super awesome, and they're very open to independent filmmakers. So we're looking at that. But yeah, we finally wrapped. That's been a long process. It's a pilot episode of a theoretical series. So it's a 30-minute Marvel character project, and it's come out pretty nice. There's a trailer out there on YouTube, Marvel Sleepwalker.
Awesome. And Josh, you can throw the trailer in the chat here so everybody can see it, and
okay.
So they can go check out the links. Joe, awesome. What do you anything you got coming up for Florida? How's Fear of Rain? Can you give us an update on Fear of Rain? What are you allowed to say about that?
Yeah, well, everyone knows. People know it locally as I Saw a Man with Yellow Eyes. The new title is Fear of Rain. It's really big things coming with it. We can't really officially announce it yet, but soon. And we would have already. It's just, everything got pushed because of the current environment. But the movie's done. It looks great. It's amazing. I think everyone locally, everyone's going to be proud of it. We've showed it to some test groups, and, it's really a fun, it's a thriller. It's everything, it's going to be like edge of your seat type of movie. Eugenie, who's on this call now as well. She's one of our stars in the film. She did an amazing job. I'm not going to give away anything on her character because I told her she can't either in things, so I'm not going to do that to her because I made her promise as well. But the film stars Harry Connick Jr. and Katherine Heigl and Madison Eisman and Israel Broussard and the directors from Bradenton as well. That was the third movie I did with Concealed Land. So I do have one that me and her are talking about. It's a local writer who moved out to LA, and he's an actor as well. We want to bring it to this area, St. Pete. And I wrapped on this other film called Lady of the Manor. I think it was like the day before everything got shut down. I want to say it was like March 3rd. And we luckily got through that one, and that's being right now, it's called Lady of the Manor. Justin Long's directorial debut. That's being submitted to festivals now, and should be out next year, I would think. So those are the two, but we're always those are the most two recent, and then we do have one that is set in St. Pete area. And Tony, we worked you worked with us on both of those films that we did over the last year or so, and And it's been so amazing, and I want to say easy to work with you and your team. So really appreciate it.
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And we're always looking for scripts.
don't say that. You're going to get a million emails now. From,
I will say, yesterday, my sales guy said, yeah,
Dan's got a script for you.
We also
takes place in the Everglades.
I was gonna say, if anyone has finished horror movies, I got an outlet for them.
There you go.
Starving. So,
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
We also have the iHorror Film Fest coming up in October.
I'll start fielding those emails now. Thanks, guys.
There you go.
So we do have a question here from Jim. He says, thanks for being here and sharing, and he's definitely going to go see the movie. So for the scenes that you shot and cast in Tampa, did you cast those roles from the Tampa Bay area?
Yeah,
I mean, we
Yes,
did.
we did.
Yeah. Paul Wilson,
Michelle Yeager.
Michelle Yeager was involved. Actually, she also had a role. Both Paul and Michelle had a role in Black Veil. So yeah, we try to cast locally as much as we can. Both in terms of just it's more cost efficient that way than having to ship people out, and also there's just a lot of good talent in the area.
Yeah, we did the same thing out in Apple Valley, right there. We cast all local.
Oh yeah,
just about, yeah. You know,
I think Joe, you're even in a shot. We can put you in a shot.
we're gonna.
Good. Well, it doesn't look like we've got any more questions from anyone here, but we're going to post this this video up to the Film Commission's YouTube channel, and so we'll put it up there, and everyone can then feel free to share it out everywhere, so that if anyone wants to watch this Q&A, they can do that. And so the film is on all VOD platforms now. Skyman's on all VOD platforms for the time being. Today's July 9th. It's still playing Studio Movie Grill in Seminole. And we actually do still have it on the schedule for the Sunscreen Film Festival that's going to be happening at the end of September 24th, 27th. So, see what the world of film festivals and live screenings look like, but opportunity for at least half capacity of a theater for people to come and see it still on the big screen at that point. So, any last words before we wrap up?
For me, just hope everyone stays safe. We're looking to get rolling in Florida here soon, and just been an honor to be involved, and we're very excited about the future. So thanks again for having me on.
Thanks, Dan. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks.
All
everybody.
right. Thanks everybody. Josh posted the Sleepwalker trailer in the comments there, so everyone take a look at that, and we're going to post this up to our Film Commission YouTube channel. Thanks everybody for joining in, and stay safe out there, and we'll go see Skyman.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks everybody.
Hey,
Bye.
guys.
Yeah.